Hello, friends. Welcome to the October 14th, 2022 edition of Rant-Om Thoughts, where sacred cows are grilled and killed for your winning and dining pleasure. Tonight, though, we have a special on roast pig. A pig named Alex Jones. Ladies and gentlemen, I pride myself on having what is called a very finely tuned BS detector. And whenever I hear things like 9/11 was an inside job, the Boston Marathon bombers were framed by Navy SEALs, the Sandy Hook shooting was a hoax, and another big whopper, Donald Trump was robbed of his re-election, cheated out of his victory in 2020. My BS detector lights up like a Christmas tree and goes ding, 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 ding. I first became aware of Alex Jones in the early thousands. Somebody had been renting airtime on a local public access cable station and running his documentaries about, his BS about 9/11. Then a few years later, George Noory on Coast to Coast AM decides he's going to platform Alex Jones and let him speak for a few nights on his show and expound his BS. Art Bell, who I count among one of the late greats, he was still running Coast to Coast AM on the weekends, and he had engineers from Popular Mechanics on his show to debunk Alex Jones and serve as a counterpoint to that. And that's why Bell was a better host than Noory, because he had a BS detector and he wasn't afraid to push back on guests, whereas Noory, he's more like Larry King. It's all softball, pedestrian, what's your favorite color type questions. Then the Ron Paul campaign came along, and one of the big frustrations I had campaigning for Dr. Paul in 2007, 2008 was having to explain to my Republican friends that most Ron Paul supporters did not believe that 9/11 was an inside job, and that Ron Paul himself did not believe that 9/11 was an inside job. Yet you had the people in the meetups who listen to Alex Jones, who take everything he says uncritically, like it's gospel, not shutting up about it. And Alex Jones, and by extension his brain-dead, methed-out, trailer trash following, did more harm to the Ron Paul campaign in 2008 than James Kerchick and his hit pieces. Fast forward a few years later, 2012. Alex Jones again. Boston Marathon bombings. Starts spouting off nonsense about Navy SEALs being behind the Boston Marathon bombings. Hell, it sounded almost like he wanted Navy SEALs to be behind the Boston Marathon bombings. Fortunately, that got quelled and quashed and debunked very rapidly. And then there was the most disgusting thing Jones did, and that was wage a campaign of harassment and smears against people whose children were murdered at a school in the winter of 2012. These people had to bury their kids on Christmas. But because it got him more clicks, because it got him more web traffic, because it got more people buying his gas station boner pills, he kept lying about it. Kept saying that it was a hoax, that the kids didn't exist, that the parents were actors, and that it was all about furthering a gun control agenda. Fortunately, the RKBA movement, the pro-gun movement, had leaders at the time who were smart enough to distance themselves from Jones. Even if Piers Morgan got him on CNN and baited him into spouting his bat guano nonsense. And of course Trump came along. Now the brain deads who hang on everything Jones says and does, a lot of them voted for Trump because Jones told them to. Because Jones told them to. And they believed Jones when he said that Trump was going to help take out this international cabal of elite pedophiles. Well, guess what? During the Trump presidency, throughout the whole Trump presidency, Jones ran cover for Trump, who himself is an elite pedophile, an Epstein client. There's video of Maria Farmer, one of Epstein's earliest known victims, fingering both Trump and Clinton as Epstein clients. And Jones would either dismiss it as fake news or just ignore it because he's a paid-off shill. Yeah. And meanwhile, the smear campaign against the families continued. There was one family that had to move around like 12 times in the span of 2 years just to escape the harassment campaign. 12 times in 2 years. But I'm supposed to put aside my emotional reaction and forget any of that because, First Amendment. Well, Jones has got his comeuppance. He's got his comeuppance. After lying about the victims of Sandy Hook, he was taken to court for inflicting mental pain and suffering on these people who had to bury their children on Christmas. It's not a First Amendment case. I don't care what Robert Barnes has to say. He's not a constitutional expert. He is a shyster. He is a Trump sycophant ambulance chaser who gets paid very handsomely to defend scumbags. Now, will the families see any of that money? It'll be a while. They'll, it's likely Jones will keep playing games with them and shifting his assets around, but sooner or later, his wages will get garnered and liens will be taken on his property. So, there you have it. Jones is he's not a First Amendment murderer. He's not a hero. I would be more concerned about Julian Assange and what happens to him, because he's an actual truth teller. He didn't lie about people who had to bury their kids on Christmas. He exposed crimes. I'm really more worried about that than Jones getting his comeuppance, his very, very richly deserved comeuppance, from people who had to bury their kids on Christmas. And there are lots of other people that I see folks just elevating who don't really deserve it. They don't. Like that human trafficking fake alpha Andrew Tate. What the hell's wrong with you people? Kanye West, or Ye, or whatever the hell his name is this week. He's mentally ill. For Conservative Inc. to parade him around in a White Lives Matter t-shirt and try to make him into whatever it was Jesse Lee Peterson was until he got exposed as a predatory homosexual groomer. It's exploitation. It's just as bad as when Dr. Phil had Shelley Duvall on his show. It's not cute. It's not funny. It's not based. It's wrong and disgusting. Stop it. All right, on to a more pleasant topic. I wanted to get into this a few months ago when I saw it and it was still fresh in my head, but, life happens and I don't really get as much time as I would like to be on here with all my glorious fans. But I did get to watch Ric Flair's last match. And, Jay Lethal was great in it. Jeff Jarrett was great in it. Andre El Idolo was great in it. And Flair himself was great in it. Was it his best match? No. It didn't need to be. But it shows that it did show us that he still had all the moves down. He could still do what he did best, even in his 70s and with a pacemaker. Now that Ricky Steamboat is going to be back in the ring soon, maybe we might end up seeing Ric Flair's last match too. All right, everyone. Think while it's still legal, and by think I mean keep your BS detector finely tuned. Don't be so open-minded that everything falls out, because that's how Jones got his following, was from gullible people. Don't fall for scam artists like him. So think while it is still legal, and I'll see you next time. And I'll try to do this more often because I love doing this. I love you all.